To become great at something or to become successful in your own right, there are always things that you don't want to do. Always. There's always things that you don't enjoy, that you don't like doing, but you have to do anyway. That's how it works. For example, when you first start reading, it can be really hard to actually sit there for an hour and read without getting distracted. Or like meditation, for example. If you've ever tried meditation, sitting there for 5 minutes and meditating without wriggling around, without getting distracted, is almost impossible. Or when you first start a new diet, it's so easy to fall back into your old habits. Now, I've actually found a way to overcome this. Now, you're more than welcome to go back to watching cat videos, but you'll prove my point, and you'll end up wasting your life. So if you just give me 2 minutes, let me explain. Now, I've always struggled with doing the things that I know are good for me, but that are hard. And I know personally that for me, going to the gym, reading books and learning new skills, I know they're good for me, but I've always found it hard to build those consistent habits. For example, last year I tried to start running and building that as a habit, and at the beginning I got really excited, I got pumped up, and I put on my running shoes, I got up at 5 a.m. and I went for a run, and this happened for like 3 days, and eventually I just started sleeping in more and more, I started making excuses, and eventually I just stopped running altogether. And what sort of happens is like a bit of a cycle. I get pumped up to do something, it lasts for a week, and then I fall back into my old habits, and this just keep going and going. What makes it hard for me is I have these big goals, but my actions just weren't matching my ambitions. And when you consistently break promises to yourself, it actually messes with your confidence, and it actually does something crazy to your mental health. So this was happening to me, and I got really frustrated with this. I got frustrated with this whole cycle of getting pumped up and then going back to your old habits, and I wanted to figure out how to do the things that I know I need to do, but that I find hard. Now, I actually found 2 successful ways that have enabled me to do those hard things. Now, the first way is called habit stacking. So essentially what you want to do here is take an existing habit that you enjoy and pair it with a habit that you're trying to build. So for example, like many people, I enjoy listening to music. Like I listen to music all the time. It just creates great energy in me. So I have built myself and I've leveraged music to create running as a habit. So I have a running playlist with all my favorite songs, and I'm only allowed to listen to that playlist when I'm running. So it makes running a lot more enjoyable. This is one of the ways I actually built running as a habit, and I've been consistent for about 2 months now. And eventually what happens is you actually begin to enjoy running. The act of putting on your shoes and going for a run becomes natural, and it becomes really enjoyable. And what I found is it's so much easier to build habits and enjoy those habits rather than forcing yourself to do a habit just for the end goal of becoming fit. Now, the second way is dopamine detox, and I'll make an entire video on this, but just essentially, just to explain dopamine for those who don't know, dopamine is the feel-good chemical in your brain. Whenever you do something pleasurable, it releases dopamine. Our brains prioritize activities based on the amount of dopamine it releases. So the more an activity releases dopamine, the more motivation you have to complete that activity. For example, let's say you walk up to the fridge, you're hungry, and all there is a carrot and a piece of chocolate. Now, almost always you're going to go for that piece of chocolate because your brain anticipates that the chocolate will make you feel good. There are a couple of other activities that generate this high level of dopamine, and that's eating junk food, watching porn, watching Netflix, watching YouTube, scrolling through social media, and it explains why we keep checking our phone. We're always looking for that new notification, and that feeling, it just makes you feel good. It makes me feel good. Now, you may be thinking, what is a bit of social media going to do? It's not going to hurt anyone, but it actually is. Now, take someone who does not drink alcohol. That person is going to get drunk a lot faster than someone who does drink alcohol or drinks it all the time, and that's because the person who always drinks alcohol has a higher tolerance to the alcohol, and that's how dopamine works. The more dopamine you release in your brain, the more it tolerates it. This is a problem because the things that release little dopamine become less interesting, and you become a lot less motivated to complete them. So you probably know where this is going, and what I recommend is taking your highest dopamine activity, whether that's Netflix, for me it's YouTube, or whether it's chocolate or social media. You want to take that activity and just choose a day of the week and just don't do it at all for that day. So just give your brain a rest from the dopamine high. So obviously you're going to get more results if you just remove it altogether, but a good way to start off is just choosing one day of the week, and from there you can just reduce those high dopamine activities overall. And that's where you're going to get the most benefit out of it, by just removing them. You don't need them. So I'm keen to know what your high dopamine activity is. Think about what you're most addicted to. Think about what you get the most pleasure from, and tell me what it is below. But yeah, choose that day of the week, reduce it completely, and honestly, it's like unlocking a superpower. I guarantee it.